All right, let's talk Los Angeles Rams, one of the top contenders in the NFC, one of the smartest football teams in the entire National Football League. Of course, Sean McVay, Les Snead leading the charge there. And there's one addition, one move those two guys made, a rookie, new guy joining the fold that is impressing everyone at this point. And when you dive deep into this kid, it's clear the Rams believe they may have pulled off another massive steal, little blast from the past here. We'll get into all that in just 1 second. But first, I'm Nick, that is Andrew, and this is Saturday Morning Inspection. All right, the Los Angeles Rams are one of the better drafting teams in the entire NFL. Obviously, of course, Les Snead's mindset on draft picks from a few years ago kind of put that to the bed and people forgot about it. But based on what the Rams have done over the past 2 to 3 years, people are finally starting to wake up. This team knows what it's doing when it comes to selecting these guys in the NFL draft. And this latest report about what a rookie is doing so far is further proof of that. Let's get into the article. Then we've got some awesome data for you guys on the other side. This is courtesy of Clutch Points. Despite trading out of the first round, the Los Angeles Rams reeled in an impressive rookie class at the 2025 NFL Draft. With 2025 NFL OTAs taking place, the Rams got their initial look at their first-year players in live action. While many players garnered considerable attention, dynamic wideout Konata Mumpfield continues to turn heads. Despite being the Rams' sixth and final pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, Mumpfield has gained as much recognition in OTAs as any of his peers. The athletic playmaker seems to be already an exciting fit in Sean McVay's offenses. Mumpfield's crisp route running has been on display daily as he continues to receive praise from his teammates, coaches, and onlooking reporters. That third people there, the reporters, you kind of take it, but really it's the coaches and the players being impressed with this kid. That's a really great sign. And I think what's very interesting, and I know a lot of Rams fans, there's a lot of discussion about next Puka Nacua, like what team, not Rams or maybe even the Rams, can find that great day three receiver. When you look at Mumpfield and compare him to Puka Nacua's college numbers and college profile, not saying he's the same guy, I'm not saying he's going to be nearly as good, but it's clear there are very scary similarities. Let's go and pull up our first graphic here. This is strengths from Puka Nacua coming out of school. I'll just read through some of them here and just keep these in mind. Routes offer leverage and crisp angles on the move. Nice job of gaining vertical stack on cornerbacks. Basketball background on display. Gains late catch space with physicality and hand fighting. Battered defenses as jet sweep option. Tough and slippery with ball in his hands. All right, keep all of those in mind. Put this picture in your head right here. Now let's go to our second. This is Mumpfield's strengths. Uses altered route tempo and sudden feet to work pass coverage. Attacks drive phase with big push, but can quickly snap off intermediate breaks. Shows ability to make athletic in-air adjustments to bring it in. All right, so let's pause right there. Let's switch back to Nacua, right? You look at this real quick, and I know I'm throwing a lot on mice here, going back and forth, but you can literally see Nacua's strength, contested catches, gaining vertical stack, leverage, right? Then you flip back over right here. Let's do it. Let's do this whole again. Talking about Mumpfield, and you can see altered route tempo to work pass coverage, attacking drive phase with a big push, similar kind of stuff. How about the last few bullets here? Able to snap those outside his frame with sudden hands, good vision with slippery hips in his run after catch. Let's go to, again, slippery, right? Remember the same word. Let's go back to Nacua. Let's go to that final bullet point there. Tough and slippery with the ball in his hands. It's like the same guy when it comes to his strengths. And where it gets even eerier is when we go into these numbers and look at the data. Let's go and jump ahead a couple right here, Miles, if you don't mind. Looking and comparing Nacua's numbers, his catches, his final 2 seasons to Mumpfield's final 2 seasons at college. You can see right there on the screen in front of you, Mumpfield actually had a few more catches than Nacua. Similar numbers, very, very close. Let's go to our next graphic here, talking about receiving yards. Now it's flipped a little bit. Nacua had a little bit more than Mumpfield, but again, extremely similar. Again, the last 2 seasons, but comparing Mumpfield's last 2 and Nacua's last 2. And finally, let's pull up receiving touchdowns. Again, 1 touchdown difference. Nacua had 11 his final 2 seasons in college. Mumpfield had 10 his final 2 seasons in college. I know everyone is tired of hearing next Puka Nacua, who's the next day 3 receiving gem. And every year there's a bunch of guys that get thrown around. And there's a reason he went as late as he did, right? Nacua was not a big name prospect, but even Mumpfield was not on Nacua's level coming out of college as a prospect ranking. But when you look at the numbers and you look at the draft profile and you hear all the great reports about what Mumpfield is doing at OTAs, you can't help but feel there's enough similarities. Maybe he's just a really good Puka Nacua backup. And listen, if that's all he is, just a great depth piece to spell Nacua, or if Nacua misses some time during injury, that's fantastic. That may seem, based on what I'm seeing right here, based on the data and the reports, that may be his floor. His ceiling is that the Rams have pulled off yet another massive day three wide receiver draft steal. Both of those options are pretty good, and yet another example of how awesome the Rams are when it comes to evaluating, selecting, and developing young talent. Miles, I know you've got a few thoughts on this, but first, Rams fans, in the comment section below, I've got a heck of a question for you guys. Your opinion: who is the greatest wide receiver in Rams history? The greatest. Only can have one. There are so many of these guys. You could go back to like the 1950s if you've been around that long, folks, when you're talking old school Rams, but you can go through the decades and there is a lot of them. Personally, I love Torrey Holt. I always thought he was a great guy growing up, but you may have a different opinion. Let us know. Greatest Rams wide receiver all time in the comment section below. But Miles, over to you. What are your thoughts on this latest Rams edition at the wide receiver position?
Yeah, Nick, I think we talk about it. We throw terms around. People say the next to this, the next that. Who's going to get the next Puka Nakua? And I think that when you talk about it, the concerns and the question is valid. It's like no one's going to be able to find the next Puka Nakua except maybe the Rams because they found the first Puka Nakua. So I think the fact that people, this guy's coming in, obviously the Rams have the best chance at finding the next Puka Nakua because they were able to they found the first Cooper Cup. They found the first Puka Nakua. They found the first guys who, really sunk below the radar. People didn't realize how good they were going to be. So the Rams, they got something special cooking up. They know what they're doing when they evaluate receivers. I know we did a video like a long time ago. I couldn't even give you an idea of when it was, but they were just talking about their draft strategy and what they did when they went to go draft Nakua, and it was just very different than everyone else. They were focusing on different things, so they know what to look for when getting these really deserved underrated receivers in the draft, bring them in and guys that break out and do huge things in the NFL. So Mumpfield being the next Puka Nakua, not that crazy when we're talking about the Rams. We're talking about, like I said, let's say Baltimore Ravens saying they found the next Puka Nakua. I'd be like, okay, Baltimore's been terrible at drafting receivers for a while. I don't think they're going to find the next Puka Nakua. So Rams, I think that's a really good comparison here, and there's very good potential that, like you said, even this guy's like 75% of what Puka Nakua brings to the table. He's really, really good. He's going to be, I think he's going to be a big addition to this Rams offense. And I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff here because if you get a Puka Nakua light, if Puka Nakua goes down, if somebody gets injured, he's going to come out for a couple plays. This is a guy that can step in and do some good stuff. And we've already heard, this offseason, Puka Nakua is a guy who's talking about he wants to retire earlier than a lot of people might have thought that he wanted to retire. I don't know how true that's going to be for him. You get the chance to be so great. Some people want to keep playing for a while to see how far they can stretch it. But he did mention that this offseason, so that's something to keep in mind as well. But Mumfield, I think he's a really interesting player. I think he brings a lot to the table for the Rams. And just the comparisons, it's eerily similar. The verbiage, the things that people talk about for him, just a guy who he did a lot of good stuff. I love how he finished his season strong as well that year against Louisville and Boston College were his two highest greatest games of his career. As far as that goes, he's very consistent throughout his career. He played all 12 games every single season, so no injury concerns with Mumfield on that regard. But this is a guy who I think is very good. He fits what the Rams want. He seems like a Rams type of receiver. And one other thing I like is when you look at him, you can see the progressions. You can see what he did really well. And one thing in particular, one stat we like is yards per reception. And if you look every year for Mumfield in college, he did a lot of great things. 9.4 yards per reception 2022, 13.1 yards per reception in 2023, 15.6 yards per reception in 2024. And that's with getting significantly more targets as well. Just each year getting more catches, more targets. So he's getting better with volume. He's doing a lot better on paper. I think overall, Mumfield looks like a really great get here for the Rams.
And I want to just hammer home a point you made. I think it is so important, right? People talk about the next Puka Nakua or the next draft steal. It seems to be, if you listen to people in the media, a lot of them think it's luck, right? Where it's like, oh, the Rams drafted Puka Nacua. What a lucky thing. Good for them. But boy, what a lucky break for the Rams. I mean, that was 100% accidental. No one in the Rams had any idea. And you talked about it, we covered the reports at the time that broke it down after the fact. Like, no, this was part of a Rams process, right? They go through this. And we've seen this with a lot of Rams selections and a lot of moves Los Angeles has made across the board, whether in the draft or otherwise, that is outside of how other teams think. And it's one of the reasons why they're a top contender. They made a really good run at it last year, despite having just a terrible run of injuries early on. They were able to overcome all that, hang tough, and finish extremely strong. And one of the things the Rams do better than anyone else is find these hidden gems and use the draft process correctly. And people in the media, they don't get it. They still don't understand. They just assume all 32 teams are equal in terms of how smart they are and their strategies and processes. And they say, oh, the Rams got Nacua. What a lucky break. Let me see what other team gets lucky. Did they get lucky? Did the Ravens get lucky? Did the Chargers get lucky? Did the Eagles get lucky? Like, that's silly. That's asinine. What the Rams, like you said, they have the best chance to find the next Puka Nacua because they were the ones that had the process and the system to find him the first time. Now, is Mumpfield going to be that guy? I don't know. Time will tell. Off to a great start. Data looks good. We'll have to see how it all shakes out. But there's undeniable truth that the Rams are the best at this when it comes to finding these kind of talented players that slide under the radar. And they should be the team. They will be the team that finds the next Puka Nacua or the next Braden Fisk or whatever it may be. There's a lot of guys that were added to the Rams roster through this offseason that people are sleeping on now. I know the linebacker Paul, I think he's going to be a stud. A lot of you Rams fans really like him. The Rams are really, really good at this. It's not luck, it's talent, and we're seeing it come to fruition once again in Los Angeles. Les Snead and Sean McVay, that combination is proven to be unstoppable in terms of delivering a consistent winner for this Rams football team.